Okay, so we were discussing on the between part, and we saw an alternate way to write the query without using a between clause, right? Next we will discuss is in condition. So why do we use in condition? So in condition is used when you want to compare when you want to compare or find multiple values in a column or field. Okay? Because with equal to you can just check one value, right? Like select star from employee where employee ID equal to 101. If you use a equal to condition, you can only search for one value at any given point of time, right? Or
But
if
it should
you,
be counting, correct? Sorry for interruption.
what should be counting?
Like suppose if you mention in, then
Mhm.
it should be like it should be on count. Like you should have a, like you can't mention. Can we mention like more than 100 or something like that, the value
Yeah, we can,
in or
yes,
temp?
yes, any number of values. There is nothing like you have to measure 100 records. So,
Okay.
right. So if you want to display, find more employee IDs with equal to operator, what you will do? You'll write a or condition or employee ID equal to 102 or employee ID equal
Correct.
to 103. So if I run this query, right? So what will happen?
All
I get,
three
yeah.
employee ID. Yes.
See, so in this case, with the equal to operator, if I want to find the employee IDs 101, 102, and 103 from employee table, I have to use a OR condition. But same thing we can do using in condition. We know we want to find multiple values, right? So we'll just use in. We know 101, 102, 103. We'll just see. So it's not like all these values should have been there. Let's say we have an employee ID 202, which I know is not present in this table, right? Doesn't matter. It will just see what all employee IDs are present in this employee ID column from the values which we gave, and it will just display those records. Even though 202 is not there, it will not throw a error. It's not there, it will not display. That's it, right? This is how we use in condition. So let's create one more table, okay? Let's say we create a table, table temp employee. We say employee ID integer, right? Insert into temp employees values. Let's give values like 101.
Insert into.
Now let's say 101, 104, 121, 111. Okay. So I'm just giving an example. Oh, I did not create the table and I'm trying to insert the values. Oh. So incorrect syntax. What went wrong? This went fine. Oh, I did not close this bracket. Okay, so select star from temp employee. Okay. So what we did here, we just inserted 4 employee IDs here, right? Now question might come, display records for all employees from employee table for all employee table whose employee ID are present in temp employee table, right? So what we are doing here, we created a table temp employee, we inserted few values here, right? So in the previous example, we specifically looked for this employee IDs. Now we have two tables, employee and temp employee, right? We don't know what all employee IDs are there in temp employee, what all employee IDs are there in employee table. In real-time scenarios, employee table can have lakhs of records and temp table can have 5,000, 10,000 records, right? And you want to display the records of all the employees whose employee ID is present in temp employee table. How will you do?
Correct.
You will do like this. Select star from employee where employee ID in. How do we know what all employee IDs are there in temp employee table? We write one more select statement. From, not select star, from select employee ID from temp. So what are we doing here? We are selecting all the employee IDs from temp employee ID table, which is 4 employee IDs which we inserted. And those 4 employee IDs will now come inside the in clause. And then the outer query will look for those employee IDs. If it is present, it will display.
Whatever the employee ID into temp MP, it will come into in.
No, it will like this in condition, right? Result set. So what will be the output of this query? If I just run this part,
correct.
It will give me employee ID invalid column name. I think I gave a underscore there. What was the table column name, man? EMPI. Oh, EMPID. So dumb. Okay. So if I just run this column part, what will happen? It is like 101, 104, 121. So these values will get replaced here in this part. It's similar to writing this as 101, 104.
This is like subquery.
This is a subquery, exactly. So basically we wrote a subquery to fetch the employee IDs from this temp table, and based on this result set, we are looking up on this employee ID, which is from employee table. Now there is something called as table alias, right? Let's say we are aliasing this table as employee and this temp table as temp. Then you have to mention here like this temp dot. Specifically, you have to specify from which table you are taking this employee ID, right? So star, you can give star, or you can just give employee dot star. So it will select all the columns from this employee table, and this employee ID is also from employee table, right? So let's see how it works. You see, so out of this 4 employee IDs, I knew 2 employee IDs are present in the employee table as well, which is 101 and 104. See, we got all the information for these 2 particular table employees. This is how you use the in clause when you don't know how many records can be there, right? And we cannot use a equal to operator, so we go with in clause with a subquery. So we first fetch this result sets, right? And then do a comparison and yeah.
In last one आप repeat करो, like suppose आपने वो जो temp dot किया, that's when it's like
ये alias name है, मतलब multiple tables जब होते हैं ना, तो अब क्या हो सकता है, in a same table there can be employee ID column, same column names, right?
Okay.
So in this case column name is different, so not an issue. But if you are having 2 tables, you're doing a join operation, right? So you will be doing a join on some key column, so the column should be same in both the tables. So in this case, you have to specify in the select statement from which particular table you want to select, or else you will get a
Okay.
error like ambiguous column name, because it will not be able to identify from which table to select, because it's saying I am seeing the value in table A also, I am seeing the column name in table B also. I don't know which one to select. So please tell me which one to select. Right? That's how it works. So I will explain
So
you this.
it's a like employee table, correct? Like suppose you have
It's a
mentioned.
alias name. You're just giving a different name. So there are
Okay.
two things. Now let's see
Okay, got it.
table
Got it,
alias
got it.
also. Right. So since we are already discussing, let me clarify on this topic also. So two ways to select. Select star from employee. Right. From employee, let's say I want to select employee ID. Right. So this works fine because we are not having any other table. So SQL Server knows, okay, just select employee ID from this employee table. But in multiple table cases, wherein you will have multiple tables with the employee ID column and you are doing a join, you need to specify that table. So in that case, you give an alias name employee. If you give alias name employee, you have to use the table alias dot in the column name. So it will be emp dot, because you change the name of the table to emp now. You just have to say emp dot employee ID. This emp is nothing but employee table. So you run this, you get. Similarly, there's a column alias. If you give as employee ID, so now you're changing the name of this column also. First, you change the name of the table from employee to emp. Now you are changing the name of employee column in the table to employee ID. So when you select
Do
this,
do we need to write from employee as EMP something like
as is not required, it's optional keyword. Even if you
that?
don't write
Okay,
as, doesn't matter. But good
okay.
practice to write as, right? So
So at the end also we will write from employee as EMP.
you can do that, yes. But some databases might not support as, but it's always a good practice to write. See, right? So now the column name changed to employee ID in your select query, so that it
Okay.
says employee ID. So this is on the table alias and column alias. So when you rename a table with the as keyword, is employee, right? And when you rename a column name with as keyword, that is the column alias. And if you don't give this as keyword, it still works fine. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Employee.
Still it will work. Not an issue. Clear on table alias and
So indirectly it will be like select employee ID from employee,
right,
correct?
right. Yes. So now we saw in. Now let's say not part. So we looked for all the employees from the employee table for for whom the employee ID is present in temp employee table. Now I want to see the opposite. I want to display all the employees, right, whose employee ID is not present in this temp employee table, right? So it will be like select star from employee where employee ID not in. This time we wrote in. Now I will write not in. Correct. employee ID from temp employee. Right. So what will this give me? This will give me list of all the employees whose employee ID is not present in temp employee table.
Correct.
So we know only 101 and 104 are present. So see, 101 and 104 are not here. So we have 102, 105 and all the other values. 101 and 104 are excluded. So let's take this example, right? This one we saw. 101, 104, 103. If we do a in, it will display you all the three values, right? Means it is displaying you values whose employee ID is 101, 104 or 103. If you just make it not in, it will just give you the opposite results. It will give you all the details of the employee whose employee ID is not 101, 104 and 103. So you see 102, 105, 106 is coming up. So this is not. So if you apply not in front of in, it will just give the opposite. If in gives you the exact match, not will give you the opposite of that. All the records which are not matching this condition. Okay, clear on the not operation?
Yes.
Okay. So now not हो गया और हो गया. Like operator we will see. Okay, before I move on to like operator, there is one thing, exist. Right? So exist operator is used to check if a particular value or a subset of data exists in a different table. Right? Like name says, used to check if particular record is present in a different table. Right? So we have two tables here. So let's say select star from employee. So you want to find out all the employees whose employee ID exists in this temp employee table, right? So it's kind of similar to in statement, but the way we write a query will be different, right? So where select star, not select star, where exists, right? So where exists, select top one from temp emp, where, so this is where the alias will come handy, emp, where emp dot employee ID equal to temp dot emp ID, right? So when I say this, what I'm doing, I'm selecting all the records from employee table, which I aliased as emp, and I'm checking where exist, right? And I'm taking an identifier. If there is a record which matches the employee ID from employee table with the employee ID from temp table, so it's temp employee ID, right? If the value matches between these two tables and we have a record, then this subquery will give me a result as 1, right? And this will display the values of all the employee IDs which exist in the temp table. Let's see what results. Oh, incorrect syntax near the word keyword from. Select star top one.
Select top one star from maybe.
No, top one is fine. Oh, sorry, top one. और top one का जरूरत नहीं है. I'll just give select one from. ठीक है, top will become. So you see, so there are two employee IDs, 101 and 104, which is present in temp employee table, right? So what we are checking, if it exists, just return 1. Means we don't have to check all the values like employee ID. So why we use this? Let's say in temp employee we have multiple entries, right, of employee 101. So there are 100 records for employee 101 in this temp employee table. So when we use a in, the in clause will scan all the 101 records, right, and it will display you one record as the output, like this employee ID exists, but it will give you the output after scanning all the 100 records for that employee ID in temp event table, right? But in case of exist, it will not check all the 100 records. So it started looking into the temp employee table. It saw, oh, okay, first record is 101, which says, oh, okay, I have a match for 101. Let's exist. I don't have to check anymore because I am sure data is existing. Data is there. I don't have to scan the remaining other table, right? Because we know 101 exists. Even though we have 99 more records, we don't have to scan through those records, right? But in condition, it will keep on scaling one record. Okay, 101 is there. Okay, then again it will go down to find one more 101 entry. It will scan all those records. But on exist, it will exit the subquery in the first match, right? So both these queries will give you same results with in clause as well with exist cross. Just the way of writing is different. If you see, this is just a subquery, right? This subquery is not dependent on this employee table, right? It's independent. You can run this query individually, right? If I run this query, you will get the data, all right? But if you see this subquery, can I run this query individually?
So here is like linked.
You cannot run
Select
this.
one from.
Why you cannot run? Because you are using this employee ID, which is coming from this employee table, right? So this query is dependent on this query, outer query, right? So this we call as correlated subquery.
Correlated Sub Query.
So there are two types of subquery. Where one is just a subquery wherein the inner query is not dependent on.
This is like interdependent.
Query is not dependent on outer query. Like this employee selects temp employee ID from temp employee is not dependent on this employee table in any ways, right? So this is just a subquery. But in correlated subquery, our inner query will be dependent on employee table. So until and unless this condition is satisfied, where emp.employee ID is matching with temp.employee ID, right? It will not give us the result. So there is a dependency. This query cannot run individually without the employee table. So this is correlated subquery. Here, there will be a dependency on outer query. So this is how this works. Correlated subquery and subquery works, right? Like exist will give you all the records which matches the particular employee ID. If you want to find out all the records from employee table whose employee ID is not present in temp employee table, you can just do a where not exist. So when you do a not exist, it will give you all the records, right, whose employee ID is not present in temp employee table. You see 104 and 101 are not there in this list. Clear on this exist part? I know it might be a bit confusing because we have not.
What does one means? Like suppose select one. So it
One means nothing.
that.
So one is not necessary. You can just write select star also.
Yeah.
So
that
one
is right.
one is select one. See, because we are not selecting anything from this table, right? Are you selecting anything from this temp employee table into your outer select? No, right? So it doesn't matter. We just want to check if a value is there matching this condition. So if there is a match, I'm just saying return one. One means I'm getting some value, right? If I get some value with this inner query based on this employee table, means data is there. Agreed? Just check कर रहा है. मतलब, it's like principal is coming to your class, right? वो बाहर से देख लिया, okay, इस class में मुझे दिख रहा है बच्चे हैं. So he doesn't come in and checks all, counts all the students. He just saw from outside, okay, yeah, table एक बच्चा है तो है. School is not empty, class is not empty. There is one student.
Okay.
Right. But in class he will go in and check each of the students who all are present. Oh, you are present, you are present. In case of exit,
नहीं होता तो
नहीं होगा तो कुछ नहीं होगा. Same. कुछ results आएगा ही नहीं. If there is no match, if there is no match, nothing will return. That's it.
Something like we are like actually I'm having confusion. I need to like work on this.
Yeah, it will be a bit confusing.
Yeah.
These are.
I'll do it from my end or kuch hoga, then I'll ask.
Right, you have to practice. So I will show you what happens in select one. When you do select one, it just gives you one as the output. Right? मतलब हमें कुछ output चाहिए. If as long as we are getting some output, we mean some data is there. क्योंकि output तभी आएगा जब कुछ data होगा which
बट खाली
matches
आप
this
इतना ही
condition.
रन करो ना, सिलेक्ट वन फ्रॉम टेम्प अंडरस्कोर टेम्प.
तो आप बताओ क्या आउटपुट आएगा. So Ahmed, you are comfortable with Hindi? You understand Hindi?
Yes, comfortable.
Okay. So if you run select one from temp emp, what do you think will be the output? It will give you.
From,
Yeah, it will give
select
you.
star from young. Hello.
No. Mhm.
No, ये select star from select star from temp emp क्या result देगा, वही result देगा.
No. It will give you for each record in this temp emp table. It will display one value as 1. So it will give you 4
Okay.
ones. I'll show you how it works.
Oh.
You see what came as output.
Okay.
So as it means जितना record है in temp
Record
emp
है.
table,
रिकॉर्ड है इससे.
display 1. So now you know why I
Okay.
you select 1 here. I just want to see if one record is there or not. If it is there, just give me 1. I don't want to see, because in tables, so this temp table which I took an example, I had only one column, right? But in production environments, you will have tables with hundreds of columns. Do you really want to select all the 100 columns just to check if the value is matching or not? Does it make sense? It does not, right? क्योंकि अगर आप वो 100 columns को select करते हो यहाँ पे, it will take some memory to store the values also, right? तो आपका memory ले रहा है, but select one is faster. In case of exist or not exist, what is our main goal? Our main goal is to check if we have some value in this table which satisfies this condition, which means the employee ID from employee table is matching the employee ID from temp table. If we have any such record, just give me a 1, which will help me identify, okay, there is some record. क्योंकि display तो मैं कर रहा हूँ employee table से ही. यहाँ तो I'm just checking if some value is there or not matching this employee ID. If it is there, display this value. Right? I'm not selecting any value from this temp employee table. Clear on this?
Yes.
Okay. So with this, we'll move on to the last clause, which is the like operator.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So the like operator is used on string fields with SQL wildcards. So in SQL, we have 2 wildcards, which is percentage and other is underscore, right? But the percentage is widely used. Now let's see what we have in the employee table. One more time. Okay? Select star from employee. So we have these records. So now if a interviewer will ask you a question, select all records from employee table from employee table. The employee table where employee name starts with S. Right? So basically you want to display all the employee details whose names start with S. So in this kind of scenarios, we will use the like
Select
operator.
Star from employee. Yes.
Select
Star
from
from
employee
where employee name is where employee name
like
name like
percentage
and then
S.
percentage
if
S.
it's P, no, like what we want, like suppose
We
it
want
depends.
to find the details of the employee whose name starts with S.
Yeah. So we will keep S and then percentage
S and then percentage.
and quote.
No, percentages I think.
Let's see.
ये वर्क नहीं करेगा शायद.
This worked.
करेगा. Okay. Okay.
Now let's see what Ahmed said. He said percentage S. We'll try both and then we'll see. So you see, Ahmed, what happened here? What happens when you give
Okay.
percentage S?
Okay.
So when you
Empty.
give percentage in front, it means display name of the employees whose name ends with S, because you're giving S at the end,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Mhm.
So anything before S, before S, there can be any number of characters. But your
Okay.
string should end with S if you give a percentage S, right? And
Okay.
if you give S percentage, it will give you the values whose name starts with S.
It is okay.
Okay, so now name of the employee, whose name contains the character A. So how do we do that?
Select star from employee.
Mhm.
Where name like
Mhm.
is a percentage.
No,
Yeah.
percentage S
Percentage A, I
and
think.
percentage.
No, only name
Percentage.
contains character A. I don't want S and all.
A. Then we will mention
A
A.
percentage.
Percentage A percentage and quote.
So you see, you're getting all the name of all the employees.
Okay.
Right now, like name of all employees starting with R and length should be more than 4.
Mhm.
Length should be more than 4 character, right? Like the employee name should start with R and the length of the name should be more than 4 character. Like if you see here, Rahul and Raj, right? I don't want to display Raj because the length is 3 characters. I want to display Rahul. And let's see any other name are there. No. So only Rahul and Raj, right? So let's see how we can do that. Select star from employee
Employee.
where
Where name like
or percentage. If I do this, I'll just explain you what happens. Right? I get 2 results. Rahul and Raj. Now as per my condition, the name should also be more than 4 characters. So Rahul is more than 4 characters, but Raj is not. So I don't want to see Raj. What modifications do I have to do here?
You will mention and other condition. Len. Len name. 5 equal to 5. Oh, sorry, greater than 5. Greater than 4, sorry.
Okay.
Wow, great. But I don't want to use this and condition. Tell me something else.
A name like
4% I think. Before after R.
4 percentages.
Okay.
Like this. Let's try.
No, it's like it's also comes our.
No difference.
No, we need to. We will write like RAH. RAH starts with
I told you
RAH.
one more wildcard is there, underscore.
Yes, underscore. Okay.
Right.
It will work.
Let's keep 4 underscores and see. It worked.
Yes.
So underscore is used to specify one character length.
Okay.
So you want to display some character like we start with R and it should be 5 characters. You can just give R. After that, what number of characters you want to have. Now, same number of underscores you should give. I gave here 4 underscores.
Okay.
Okay. So this is how the wildcard works. And the wildcards will only work with like operator. So most commonly used is percentage, where you know if we have to check if the name starts with R or the string contains A in between, or it's a very big sentence and you want to see if some word is there or not. Then just use percentage. That word percentage, it works. Clear on the like part?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So I think we are good on the logical operators also. We covered everything.
Shishendu, there is a one more, I think. It's like the not equal to sign comes into
Yeah, not equal to be discussed, right? Where?
no, not equal to, like in wildcard.
In wildcard, there is something that's not equal to.
Yes.
I need to check that, but I. Okay. So you mean this symbol?
Correct.
Yeah. So let's see what happens if I do this. When I have never used it, but let's see.
And there is like before this, starting beginning of course, I have gone through the theoreticals.
Mhm.
That's where I got this. And there is also like
So what is the
the
use of
square
this
bracket.
operator? With
Like
this,
accept this. Like suppose accept
okay,
that,
square bracket I know, like you can have
keep
like,
the character, like keep those character.
yeah, if this character is there, it will skip it. Okay, it
No,
has,
it will give you a result. And
yeah.
then if you just mention a minus,
Let's see if this not operation works here or not. Okay,
it will not give.
it works, right? So
Yes.
first one will
If
give
you
you, so Paul, right? Paul. So if I do this, it will give me all the characters which has AUL in the name.
yes, correct.
So, and it will not consider entire thing. It says A is there, A, U is there,
U is
U,
there.
L is there. It will give you all. Any of these
Yeah,
characters, if it is there,
individual,
right,
individual.
individual.
Yes.
And if you want to see if any
You
of
just
this is
mention
not,
a.
Mhm.
Just mention a and minus sign, a minus sign, and then you can mention any of the, if there is a present in that. Like suppose if you want to mention that a2 f or g or something like that, then you can mention the minus sign within the square bracket,
means okay,
and
this
you
is
got
basically you're giving a range, like checking if the values
exactly.
from A to
Yes,
Z
yes,
is there or not. So
yes,
that's fine.
yes.
So yeah, so this
Okay.
is something I have never. We don't use this generally in any of the projects. I have never used
Real
this
time
in.
scenario.
Yeah,
Yes,
we never
yes.
used it. So focus more on percentage and underscore. Even underscore we don't use.
Okay.
It's all percentage.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
all right.
Yeah, this is, I just gone through with the theoretical. That's why I
Oh,
have
that's good.
just raised
Theoretical
this.
you read. It's good for you. So it's good learning for me also because I totally forgot. I never used it. So when you said it, remember,
Okay.
it struck my mind. Okay, there is some symbols.
Okay.
But remember this R, also percentage and underscore symbol. We use this,
Okay.
mostly.
Okay.
So yeah, so with this we completed our SQL operators. So I think we will stop here today.